but it's actually shown to us by the Straw Hats getting stronger from arc to arc pre-time skip. Hey, what's up everybody? It's LeeLos, and today we're talking about why Shanks versus Mihawk is obvious. Stay steady in pursuit of your dreams and goals. You're born to win, you're made for greatness, and I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. So Mihawk versus Shanks is a battle between two of the most popular characters in the entire story of One Piece. Today we're going to analyze every single power-up and ability these two characters have displayed to figure out overall who's more powerful than who between these two characters. So first off, there's one layer to this debate, and then there's a much more detailed layer to this debate. Today we're going to analyze both. So the first layer of this debate simply comes from the titles and statements given to these characters. In the manga, Mihawk is introduced as the world's greatest swordsman. During Wano, he's referenced as the world's strongest swordsman, and when his bounty's revealed, the Marines state that as a swordsman, he has greater skill than Shanks. Using these three statements, that would mean that Mihawk is a stronger swordsman than Shanks, a more skilled swordsman than Shanks, and an overall greater swordsman than Shanks, meaning overall, it's more likely that he's stronger than Shanks. Now that is one layer to the debate. Now let's talk about the more detailed layers of the debate. Essentially, there's many arguments that can be made for Shanks being stronger than Mihawk, other than just calling Shanks a Haki man. One of the main arguments comes from analyzing the power system that's been displayed throughout the entire series, and then applying it to this debate. The main methods for getting stronger in One Piece, other than training, are adventures and Haki blooms. Essentially in One Piece, the battle experience they gain from going on adventures makes them stronger. Not only is this implied from a statement by Zoro, but it's actually shown to us by the Straw Hats getting stronger from arc to arc pre-time skip, and Haki blooming is the concept of Haki becoming stronger by using it in challenging battles. These two concepts for getting stronger throughout One Piece are shown to us many times throughout the series, and this is what makes up one of the main arguments for Shanks being stronger than Mihawk. It's the simple fact that it's common for rivals to surpass one another during their journeys in One Piece. We've actually seen this happen multiple times, so much so that I really wonder why this isn't a more common take in this debate. A great example being Zoro and Sanji. If you take end of pre-time skip Sanji, a character that not only developed Diable Jambe, but also essentially mid to high diff Jabra, then went on to become even more powerful after that, and became so powerful that he was reflecting attacks from oars while he was controlled by Luffy's shadow. If you took this version of Sanji and had him fight start of series Zoro, a guy who couldn't even cut steel and might not have even had any flying slash attacks yet, this version of Sanji is simply going to win. And this is just the progress made from a few months of adventures before they even knew what Haki was. And the same thing applies to the post-time skip version of Zoro and Sanji. Zoro and Sanji both have gained so much power throughout the post-time skip that you almost can't even compare them to the start of post-time skip versions of themselves. Again, showing us that rivals can gain a large amount of power in a short amount of time and surpass one another. All this being said, one of the main arguments for Shanks being stronger than Mihawk is that Shanks has simply surpassed Mihawk from the power he's gained from his adventures and Haki blooms. Even if Shanks initially got weaker after losing his arm 12 years ago, he's gained so much power through his adventures and Haki blooms during that time frame that it genuinely just doesn't matter anymore. The power he gained was so much that he simply surpassed Mihawk. And there's a few things that support this idea. First off, the information that we've gotten on Shanks' adventures so far are already genuinely insane. From the time of losing his arm until now, he's quadrupled his bounty and become a Yonko. Not only did he become a Yonko, but he debatably became a Yonko during one of the most challenging times to become a Yonko. When Shanks became a Yonko, his rivals were Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido, meaning debatably some people already viewed Shanks as a rival to Whitebeard, and that was more than 6 years ago in the story timeline. On top of this, we literally see him clash with Whitebeard and split the sky. We also get a statement of him stopping Kaido from intervening in the Marineford War, and we see him clash with Akainu and have Akainu actually sweating bullets. Finally, one of his most impressive statements in the entire manga so far is that he's stated to have stopped Loki 6 years ago. Currently, we're in the middle of a flashback explaining Loki's power. Depending on how this flashback ends, this statement could be one of the most impressive feats of power in all of One Piece, and it's performed by Shanks. So the reason why this feat is impressive is the following. Harold was relative to, if not just exactly equal to Rox, then went on to become potentially even stronger than Rox because Harold continued doing missions after Rox died, and he did this for decades, staying in his prime the entire time. At this current point in the flashback, there's an argument for Harold actually being the strongest character alive other than Emu, due to Harold being a giant and staying in his prime. Meanwhile, his most powerful rivals are now old. Despite this insane power, he then gets an additional power-up from Emu. So now Harold is a character who not only was debatably already stronger than Rox, now he has more strength on top of that, and Loki is still clashing with him. Harold then goes on to tell Loki to eat the legendary devil fruit because Loki is the only one who can defeat Harold in this new powered up state. The flashback is not complete yet, but if Harold's estimate was correct and Loki goes on to eat this devil fruit, then there's a real argument for Loki not only being stronger than Harold, but also stronger than Rox and stronger than nearly every other character in One Piece. Then he would have Ragnar on top of that as well, and Shanks still defeats Loki 6 years ago. It starts to get really insane because now the manga is giving us valid arguments for the new gen characters actually being stronger than the old gen characters. Maybe there will be some surprise moments that happen throughout the rest of the flashback, so we'll just have to see how this one plays out. Now, while Shanks is performing all of these crazy feats and doing all of these adventures, getting much more powerful in the process, all we know about Mihawk is that he's been chilling as a warlord. Seeing how fast other rivals gain power throughout One Piece and how often they can surpass one another in a short time frame, the idea of Shanks simply surpassing Mihawk due to the power he's gained from his adventures is a real possibility. Another thing that backs up this argument is Shamrock. Shamrock is Shanks' twin brother. He has 2 arms, his weapon has a devil fruit, and he might be getting additional power from Emu. Despite this, many fans believe that Shanks, even though he has 1 arm, has surpassed Shamrock anyway, simply due to his adventures and Haki blooms. This is the same concept being used to argue that Shanks has surpassed Mihawk. The next main argument is the simple fact that titles can become outdated. A good example of this being Whitebeard. Whitebeard, while he was sick, old, and dying, still had the title of the world's strongest man, even though in actuality, he was not the world's strongest man at the time. You can make a strong argument for characters like Kaido, Shanks, and even Garp all being capable of defeating this old man Whitebeard during this portion of Marineford, especially when you consider that characters like Garp essentially represent if Roger never got sick and never stopped training. Even if Mihawk was once the world's strongest swordsman, the title could simply be outdated. Shanks could have surpassed him, but Mihawk still has the title anyway. The next major argument is the reality that Shanks currently simply has better feats than Mihawk. As of right now, this is actually just a fact. Shanks one-shot Kid, but Mihawk did not one-shot Vista, and these two characters should be relative to each other. You could make a good argument, honestly, for Kid actually being stronger than Vista. Meanwhile, when Mihawk fought Vista, their clash lasted over an entire chapter. Neither one dealt any noticeable damage to the other. This looks really bad for Mihawk. Meanwhile, Shanks is out here just actually one-shotting Kid, someone who might be an even stronger character than Vista. All of Whitebeard's commanders tried to get revenge and fought Blackbeard, but Blackbeard defeated them all. The anime actually shows Blackbeard soloing all of the commanders by himself. This looks terrible. I'm going to be honest with you, this really makes Vista look pretty weak, especially when we see Law was able to hold his own against a stronger Blackbeard. It really doesn't look good. I've seen people say we should not use Marineford for power scaling, but really, outside of Mihawk not looking that good, there's not many problems with Marineford power scaling. It's pretty consistent with the rest of the story. The main problems with it is that Mihawk really does not look that strong compared to current Shanks. Another thing is that Shanks' Conqueror's Haki is stated to just be insane. In Egghead Island, when Dory and Brogy are hit by Joy Boy's Haki, they say, "Is this stronger than Shanks' Haki?" Dory and Brogy have been alive for over 100 years, and the strongest point of reference in terms of Conqueror's Haki that they immediately think of is Shanks. They don't say, "Is this stronger than Mihawk's Haki? Is this stronger than Whitebeard's Haki?" They don't even say, "Is this stronger than Roger's Haki?" They say Shanks, meaning there's a real possibility that Shanks currently might have the strongest Conqueror's Haki at this point in the series. And Conqueror's Haki is an insane power multiplier. We saw with Luffy that Advanced Conqueror's Haki was a bigger power multiplier than Gear 4 was. Gear 4 wasn't even able to damage Kaido, but with Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he's clashing with Man-Beast form Kaido while Luffy's still in his base form. This shows us that for even characters like Luffy, Advanced Conqueror's Haki is a bigger power multiplier than Gear 4. Imagine what it's like for Shanks. We saw a kid take numerous insane attacks from Yonko, but one attack from Shanks was so powerful that it one-shots him. Another argument for Shanks is that you could say Black Blades really are not that much of a power-up. Zoro was given a Black Blade back in pre-time skip, and it really didn't make that much of a difference. He was still weaker than a pacifista. He got a much more notable power-up from Enma. Again, a sword implied to be more focused on Conqueror's Haki. To be fair, we still don't have that much information on Black Blades or how they're even created. It could just be an insane armament Haki feat, so it's possible that Mihawk has the best armament Haki amongst swordsmen, but from what we've seen, Conqueror's Haki is simply a more impressive power multiplier than anything armament Haki has displayed so far in the series. And one more argument is from an interaction between Shanks and Mihawk early on in the series. In the anime, he states he has no interest in settling the score with Shanks now that he's lost one arm. It's worth considering, if Mihawk had won their last battle, why would he talk about settling the score? You could argue that this statement implies that Shanks actually won their last battle, but this is just the anime translation. There's a few more arguments. We don't know the details behind who did Mihawk defeat to get the world's strongest swordsman title. Was there another world's strongest swordsman before Mihawk? Also, there are Vivre cards that support Mihawk being stronger. There's a Vivre card that states that Mihawk is the strongest in name and actuality, but it really should be noted that the Vivre cards have many times just blatantly gotten things incorrect. There is an entire page dedicated to Vivre card errors. There's honestly a lot of them. Some translations of Vivre cards will literally contradict other Vivre cards, and many times they've said something and then later in the manga it's just revealed that the Vivre card was wrong. This has happened many times. I'm not saying that all of the Vivre cards are wrong. They've been correct too, but it really should be noted that many times they have been incorrect. When you add everything up, who's actually stronger than who? The reality is, based off of narrative, Mihawk should be stronger, but based off of feats, Shanks is stronger. Mihawk's main arguments for being stronger are his title, him having a black blade, and him having both of his arms. That's really the main arguments for Mihawk. There's not much else other than that supporting the idea that he's stronger than Shanks, and every main argument for Mihawk has valid counter arguments for Shanks. You could just say that the title's been outdated. For example, he was stronger than Shanks originally, but Shanks has surpassed him by getting stronger by going on adventures and gaining Haki blooms. Mihawk has a black blade, even though we don't have much information on black blades. You could argue that Conqueror's Haki is a bigger power multiplier than armament Haki is anyway, and we've seen with Zoro that black blades aren't really that big of a power up on their own, and having two arms, once again, you could just argue that Shanks has gotten so powerful from his adventures that he's made up for the difference in their strength. So currently, Shanks simply has more arguments for being stronger than Mihawk does, but narratively, because Mihawk still has the title and he has both of his arms, narratively, Mihawk would be stronger than Shanks. But another thing worth noting, if it's revealed that Shanks' sword has a devil fruit in it, just like Shamrock's, then it's pretty safe to say that Shanks is stronger than Mihawk, because having a devil fruit in the sword, now Shanks isn't just a pirate with a sword, he would be a devil fruit user. So if that's revealed, then yeah, it becomes safe to say that Shanks is stronger than Mihawk. To clarify, if it's revealed that Shanks has a devil fruit in his sword, and Shanks and Mihawk never fight each other and we never get any dialogue on who's stronger than who, at that point it's safe to say that Shanks is actually stronger than Mihawk. Then he's not just a pirate with a sword, he would be a devil fruit user. So that removes him from the strongest swordsman conversations. But yeah, currently Shanks has better feats and Mihawk has a better title, better narrative, and there is a real possibility that Shanks is stronger, but currently, narratively, Mihawk is depicted to be slightly more powerful than Shanks, even though Shanks has the better feats. But again, if it's revealed that Shanks' weapon has a devil fruit, just like Shamrock, then it becomes safe to say that Shanks is stronger than Mihawk. But overall, it's slightly more likely that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks at this current point in the series. That's everything I wanted to say. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the views in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll see ya on the next one.